G'day, I'm Ian Swain, the owner of Swain Destinations, the company that customizes travel experiences to New Zealand, Australia, Africa, Asia and India and the South Pacific Islands. So welcome to another edition of G'day with Ian Swain. Today we're heading back to New Zealand and located at the top of the South Island of New Zealand in an area called the Marlborough Sounds, close to the famed Queen Charlotte track and Motuara Island, where Captain Cook in 1970 proclaimed sovereignty of New Zealand for Great Britain. And a place accessible only by boat and helicopter, you'll find an oasis called the Bay of Many Coves Resort. My last visit was a couple of years ago, and I spent a wonderful 3 days of relaxation and activities while I was there. I made friends with my guests today during that stay, so I now welcome Graeme Smith, the General Manager of Bay of Many Coves Resort. Welcome, Graeme.
Oh, kia ora koutou katoa. Nice to see you again, Ian.
Good to see you too, and thanks for spending your time with me.
Oh,
Now, the resort is isolated, and the best way to immerse yourself in the region is to charter a boat from the docks of Picton and fish your way to the resort, including a stop to get some green mussels. Now, I'm sure that's most popular. Can you elaborate on that adventure and also the other ways that you can get to the resort?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right, we sit at the top of the South Island. We are only accessible by sea or air. We're around about 20 kilometres up the Queen Charlotte Sound and tucked away in our own little bay here, so no road access. It's a very tranquil, very peaceful spot. The resort sits on about 120 acres of regenerated native bush and is perched right literally on the side of the water there. Getting up here, there are a number of ways to get up here, and you're quite right. I remember when you did come up, you came up on what was called the Odyssey Tour, which still operates, and what that is, it gives you a bit of an aquaculture experience on the way through to the resort, where you enjoy greenlet mussels, which are farmed down here in the Marlborough Sounds. A little bit of the king salmon, which is also farmed just around the corner from the resort, and of course you get to taste our most popular export being our Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, and so the trip up is quite a nice experience. There are, since you've been here last, a couple of other really nice ways to get up here, and one of the ones that we've been doing a lot of work with is a company you may or may not be familiar with, is Eco Tours. And they do a dolphin interaction, and so effectively you leave Picton, your transfer in is on board Eco Tour, and you literally spend time playing with the dolphins. You visit Motuara Island, the bird sanctuary that you alluded to a moment ago, and really immerse yourself in that whole Marlborough Sounds experience before arriving on our jetty.
I remember that trip really well, and the crisp Sauvignon Blancs of Marlborough Sounds are just beautiful to go with the mussels and the salmon, that was for sure. Now, you've mentioned a host of activities, and your activities that are available from the resort is a list a mile long. Perhaps you can elaborate on some of the more favoured ones that you like and tell us a bit more about them.
Yeah, absolutely. So certainly what we try and do is get our guests really, really immersed in what the Marlborough Sounds is all about. We're on water, so obviously a lot of our activities are water-based. So you could look to do, if you're into sailing, we have a beautiful yacht called Beviamo, which picks all our activities are picked up and dropped off back here at the resort, which will pick you up and take you out on a day's sailing out and around the different coves and bays of the Queen Charlotte Sound. There's options with the Motuara cruise up to the island, where guests will go up to Motuara. They'll do a day trip, walking up right up through the island. There's a whole lot of little nesting boxes, and it's really cool. You got at any time you can be nesting kiwis, you can be nesting little blue penguins. You'll see things like the rare South Island robin, you'll see bellbirds, you'll see tui, weka, and of course our famed kiruru, which is a big New Zealand native wood pigeon. So the island itself is full of bird life, and with a viewing platform at the very, very top, which takes you, once you get up there, it encapsulates the entire Marlborough Sounds right back across to the Wellington Heads. It's just spectacular, and you would have seen that when you came over. Another very nice little tour is one called Myths and Legends, and it's a couple, Pete and Took, who've got a boat called Tutanikai. And Te Tanakai takes you on a cultural experience up the Marlborough Sounds, and they're probably most famed for knowing more about the history of Marlborough Sounds and Captain Cook's Landing back in the 1700s. So they're very, very raw people, and very, it's one of those unique experiences. You get met with them in bare feet and on this beautiful old launch, and you just disappear, and you come back at the end of the day, and the stories when guests come back are just delightful to hear. Perhaps my favourite though, Ian, I would have to say we have a boat called Catabactic that heads up and down the Marlborough Sounds, and it's skippered by a character by the name of Grant Orchard. Now, Grant, during our winter, goes up to the Florida Keys, and he's an executive chef on a super yacht. And he's just arrived back actually last week, and he cooks around the Florida Keys for our winter, but then during our summer he comes back here, and he's got a boat which tells a particular story. It's effectively a kitchen built with a kitchen and a boat built around it, and he takes guests on a tour up into the Marlborough Sounds, where you can throw a line over the edge and catch one of our famous blue cod, or perhaps a bit of gurnard, bit of teriyaki, pull it up, and then Grant will actually cook lunch for you, prepare the fish for you, and cook your entire lunch for you, and you sit out on the deck in a dining area and just enjoy the sounds by the back of a boat. It's a wonderful experience. That's probably my favourite, and we've just this year launched another experience with Grant, where if you're doing sort of a 2 or 3 night stay, perhaps on the third night, you may want to go out and do a dinner cruise with him. So we can do a dinner cruise from the resort up into the Marlborough Sounds, and during those long summer nights, you'll be aware they're just beautiful, long, calm, flat summer nights. It's nothing nicer than cruising the Marlborough Sounds, having a bit of dinner and a bottle of wine.
And it's beautiful, the sound of it. I'm a boating person, as you remember, and I just love being out in the water. But talking about the land, I mean, you're right on the Queen Charlotte track, which is a longer track which you have access to do day trips to either direction of that. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so we have direct access through the Queen Charlotte track. So the Queen Charlotte track, it's a 74-kilometre walk from the north end, from Ship Cove right down to Anakiwa in Havelock, right down the south end of the Queen Charlotte. And it's broken down into various stages, and there's various parts of the track that have a different interest in each stage. And we will do a lot of day trips. So we'll head out of the resort. You get picked up in the morning. You'll do a section of the Queen Charlotte track before bringing you back into the resort in the afternoon. But probably our favourite part of the walk is one where we drop you off at Punga Cove, which is down in Endeavour Inlet, opposite Furneaux Lodge. And you connect onto the track there, and then you walk along the top ridgeline, and you drop back down into the resort on our own paths, and head down into the resort.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, you pick up both the Kinapuru and the Queen Charlotte Sound in the walk, and it is arguably the most beautiful part of the track.
I think one of the key things that I love about the resort, when you're coming back to the resort after doing a day of activity on the water, particularly, and coming back to the dock and just hopping off the boat, then going to the quarterdeck and having a bit of a wine or a bit of tapas as you've got down there now. But perhaps you can talk about the other 2 restaurants you have, and also the new quarterdeck, because you've changed that round a bit.
Yeah, we have, Ian. We were mindful that the old cafe that we used to have on the waterfront, which is by far one of the most spectacular locations in the entire Marlborough Sounds for sitting and having a bite to eat or a glass of wine. It is literally built out over the water. So the deck itself, you're sitting on the jetty, which is built out over the water. We, up until this year, it was a cafe which served traditional cafe fare, but we kind of took the approach this year that we wanted to lift the quality and the standard of that particular outlet and bring it more in line with what guests experience inside the resort itself. So we've renamed the old cafe. It's now called the Quarterdeck restaurant. It's going to be a tapas bar and wine bar. So it's set to open in probably 3 weeks. We're just finalising the reconstruction of it at the moment, and it'll be open ready for this next season. But it's the whole face of it's changed with lovely soft seating, and it's going to be designed more for guests to come down and spend a lazy afternoon rather than having guests to compete with locals and other people in that space. We also have our favoured Hermitage guest lounge, which is where we serve breakfast in the morning, and it's a beautiful deck which just sits out and looks out over the bay, and guests will come down for an hour for breakfast and end up staying for 3 as they start to enjoy watching the cormorants and flying around, or the dolphins perhaps jumping around in the bay. It's just a really peaceful spot. And above that, we've got our 4-deck fine dining restaurant, where we serve dinner in the evenings from 6, and it's guests there can enjoy anything from a casual dining menu through to an a la carte fine dining menu, right through to a 7-course wine match degustation menu. So there's an awful lot of opportunity and options with food here. We tend to make sure that we source local. So, of course, we're looking at food miles in particular and making sure that whatever we're sourcing is local. So we're trying to restrict whatever carbon footprint we can, being an eco resort. And we produce some of the most amazing foods, within 50 kilometres of the property.
And if someone goes out on a fishing trip and catches some fish during the day, your chef will cook them up for them that night.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's we run fishing charters out of here with a company called Sounds Connection, and literally they'll bring the fish back. It gets filleted on the back of the boat. We then take it up to the chef, have a chat to the guest, and find out how they like it cooked. And we will present it to them at dinner time. Doesn't get much fresher than that.
That's for sure, yeah. Now, let's just talk about the resort itself, because you've got the Kerroroo suite, which is the top suite. Then you've got 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments. Just explain a little bit more about those.
Yeah, so we're sitting on 120 acres here, and the resort itself is right down at the front of that of the property. Within the property, we have 11 apartments in total, of which our premium suite is our Kerroroo suite, which boasts a 2-bedroom apartment and a 58 square metre outside deck with deck furniture on it. It's got a sunken spa pool out there, and it literally sits amongst a whole lot of pungas and kowhai and remu trees, and it's just a magnificent spot with views right across the bay. It's important to note, I guess, that all the apartments are northeast facing, so every single one of them faces straight out to sea, so everybody gets that same view. And of course, in the morning with the sun rising in the east, it just lights up the entire face of the resort. It's really pretty. 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments, each of those en-suited separately, with the exception of our 3 bedroom apartment is 2 bathrooms, but absolutely ideal spot for a family travelling with either teenage or young children, where you can lock one end off for the kids, and mum and dad still have the luxury of the other end, and they all boast a big lounge room, and completely furnished as you would expect any luxury lodge to be furnished. It's very, very well appointed. Of course, all that is within a nice, tight environment, and all linked with concrete paths taking you all the way back down to the jetty again.
No, I remember walking up and down the resort. It's just beautiful, and the trees and the plant life is just amazing. How you've generated all that. You've also got the Muritu Day Spa, which I remember I visited that and had a wonderful spa experience. Perhaps you can elaborate a little bit more on the services that are provided there.
Yeah, so we do. We have our Muritu Day Spa, which sits right on the top of the property. It's at the highest point on the resort and overlooks the bay. We have a therapist working all year out here, and she provides services, everything from relaxation through to deep tissue, through to hot stone massages, right down to manicures, pedicures, facials. It's a full spa treatment. The only recommendation we make is, because it is very, very popular, we always recommend that people give us a ring in advance of their trip out to us, and pre-book that to avoid disappointment, because she really is, it's one room, one therapist, so she really is busy during those summer months, and well worth the experience. You just noted before, Ian, after walking down off the track, feeling a little bit jaded, there is nothing nicer than to be able to firstly go and sit in our hot tub. So we have a big 12-person cedar hot tub. It's brand new, actually. We just had to replace it. And also our swimming pool. We've got an in-ground swimming pool as well. And then wandering up to the day spa and enjoying a massage before dinner. It's yeah,
Well,
relaxation at its best.
that's exactly what I did in the old hot tub. So I'll look forward to seeing the new hot tub. But sitting there and
Exactly the same, just look through it.
just having a glass of champagne and sitting amongst the trees, it's just delightful. And we had a beautiful dinner that night. And you told me lots of different stories of your past and what you love about Bay of Many Coves. So perhaps you can share with us what makes Bay of Many Coves special for you, because you've been there for a number of years now, and it just must be have a lot of fond memories, but there must be maybe something that stands out as being the thing.
Yeah, look, Ian, I've been here coming up 4 years now, and look, the one thing that sticks in my mind here is how no 2 days are the same, and yeah, I guess I still wake up in the morning and pinch myself and sort of say, is this real? And as I look out across the property, I think the things that stand out for me are people. I really enjoy people, and if that's not just from guests coming in, but it's our team that are working here. We're really lucky to have an incredible team who will live and work on site, and who are here to welcome our guests. But for me, it's that guest interaction, and some of them amazing people that you meet from all across the world, and the stories that they tell. And I guess if there's one that the one that sticks to mind is very recently, in fact, a guy came to stay, and he booked in for a 3-night stay, and he came up to me and he says to me, look, he said, Graeme, he said, I'm wanting to stay a little bit longer. You know, what's your availability? And I said, oh, look, you're fine in that apartment. I've got another 11 days free before I need it again. He goes, yeah, I'll take them. So he stayed an additional 11 days, and it was really heartwarming as I was talking to him. He was talking to me about a bit of a somber moment, but I'll share it anyway. He was telling me that he had a trip planned right around the whole South Island. He had terminal cancer, and he only had a matter of weeks to live. And he got here, and he said he doesn't want to go anywhere else. And he said, if this is the last thing I do in my life, he said, this is where I want to be. And he stayed right through till time where his health wouldn't let him stay any longer. And it was remarkable, and touched the chord, I guess, with all of us, Ian.
I would. That's amazing. But as I said in the start, it's an oasis that you've created down there in the middle of nowhere. And the thing is, we never talk about, which one of my favorite activities when I was there was the stargazing, because there's so few lights around the area that you've got brilliant skies, the southern hemisphere skies. And you know, I always love looking for the Southern Cross, because it reminds me that I'm back in my part of the world. So that's another activity that you've got there. But listen, Graeme, I really appreciate the time you spent with me today and catching up, and it's really good to see you, and I just can't wait for the borders to open so I can come back down again and get some more Sauvignon Blanc. And although not that I haven't been missing it, I've been having it anyway, but having it directly at the source is much better. But I'd love to go to Motuara Island again, and also to Ship Inlet and see where Captain Cook landed. It's just, when you stand on the beach where Captain Cook was 1770, because he discovered Australia and New Zealand, it just makes a special moment. It was just really cool to be there at the same time, or not the same time, but be at the same place that he was. So I look forward to seeing you. Look after our guests. They love it when they come down there. I can't guarantee they're all going to stay an extra 11 nights, but we'll try for that.
Look, Ian, you're most welcome, and certainly we very much look forward to seeing you back down here and sharing some more of those experiences that we've had in the past. It'd be great.
Okay, mate. Thanks a lot, mate. Bye.
Thanks, Ian. Take care.